All right, here we are with the Metal God. The new book is Confess. And Rob, as you know, when you write a book called Confess, you must do so, which you have. Where there must have been points while you were writing this where you just sort of went, am I really going to tell the whole world all this stuff?
Yeah. The envelope story in the back of the van in Amsterdam. Oh Lord, I'm like, Ian, should we really do this? He goes, yeah, go on, like throw it all on the table. We had so much stuff. I tell you, we've got an enormous amount of wordage left over. I mean, which me, once I start flapping my lips, you can't shut shut the hell up, Halford. We had so much fun to do it, like 50, 60 hours of me yabbering away and Ian asking me these incredible questions. But it's true. Yeah. I mean, on the offset, I said, what do you want me to say? Do you just is it about priests or what? He goes, no, everything, absolutely everything. Your entire life, as far from your earliest memories to where we are right now. And that was all I needed, the green light, and then we were off and running. So he was. I keep bringing Ian up into my conversations with my friends like Don Jamieson because he is an important man. I couldn't have made this book without him. So the way he steered me through my life, he was just amazing.
Yeah, and like Sammy wrote his autobiography, and it was called 100% Uncensored. And when you name a book like that, you really have to come clean, and you really have, Rob. Obviously, we hear about all the music, but we really get to know you very well from childhood on. And one of the things that I learned that you and I have in common as youngins is we both rode a Honda 50.
Oh, is that right? How cool is that, man? That's
Well, it was
so
way
cool.
cooler for you because my Honda 50 turned into a moped and a paper route, and your Honda 50 turned into a Harley and a 40, almost now a 50-year career with Judas Priest.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I remember having that first motorcycle, and it's just that sense of freedom you get when you get on a bike. It's not like a car, and that little put Honda 50. But I was still like, heading out to the highway, hell bent for leather, holding onto the handlebars and the wind and the rain and the sleet and the snow because I used to ride it to and from the Grand Theatre through all kinds of weather, It's a glorious metal memory.
It wouldn't have been as cool to drive on stage on a Honda 50 for sure.
No.
And that's true. The motorcycle is so much cooler because you didn't even, and you reveal this in the book, you didn't drive until the Defenders of the Faith album, a car. Right?
Yeah, I took my driving lesson here in Phoenix, only because back in the UK then, and probably still now, it's very, very difficult to take the whole thing. You've got to learn so much stuff, just the paperwork, which is important because you don't let, people like me on the road without some kind of guidance. But by the time I took my license test here in Phoenix, I'd already had some experience behind the wheels. And we talk about that one moment in the book, don't we, Don, about me, colliding like a one of these rallies. What do they call those rallies where they get these old beat up cars and they go around and around? Yeah, just like that. And I was bouncing off these cars in this quiet neighborhood. And my friend Brian the Lion's going, floor it, man, we've got to get out of it. And in the rear view mirror, there's people running out the houses holding their Sunday dinner and going, what the fuck's going on? Oh, yeah. So by the time I took my lesson here in Phoenix, I was a bit more sophisticated.
Yeah, and much more sober by then, which
yeah.
Thank God for you and all of us because man, it's been a wild career and thank God for that, and we still have you here. But yeah, you lived a dangerous life for a long time. One of your early jobs was it was only for a weekend. It was only for a short time, but it would reprise itself in movie form later on. Was working in a porn shop for the weekend.
I tell you, the parallels in my life, you can't make this up. You can't make it up, 1 minute I'm looking after the what do they call it in England? The Dirty Mac Brigade, the Macintosh,
Yeah.
But like in Monty Python, in the Monty Python sketches, you get the guy doing this with his Macintosh, and that was a life changing experience, just for that long weekend, to see all these incredible characters come in and out the shop, and you knew as soon as they walked in what kind of, I want to know what he's going for. He's going after the big tits mags, that kind of thing. And then fast forward, and I'm standing with oh, please help me, with from Spawn. Sorry,
Mickey Rourke.
God, why couldn't I remember that name? I've done so many of these incredible Zooms, my brain's a bit like mush. But Mickey Rourke is there making me chicken soup because the stuff coming out of both ends, because I've got the worst food poisoning at that time. I've had it since worse since then. Worst food poisoning in my life. And Jim and Mickey Rourke is making me chicken soup in a porno shop, which incidentally, I think we mentioned in the book. He tells me, Rob, this is crazy, because I used to work in this porno shop in Santa Monica before I got my job as an actor. I was like doing any kind of work to get some money and to pay the rent. I was busting tables and working in the. I said, Jim, I said, Mickey, you won't believe what I'm going to tell you now. And I told him that story of back in the day in Walsall. We're both looking at each other like, again, unbelievable.
Yeah, well, Rob, in the early days, obviously, when you're trying to be an actor or whether you're trying to be a musician, you do what you need to do to get by. And I don't know, I'm not sure if this is still true, but what you say in the book, which is so hard to believe, is that the first two Priest albums, because you're so eager to get a deal, to this day are still not under your control. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've gone back and forth with the owners of those records. And it's a shame. I hope one day we can bring them back into the Priest fold, because they're valuable, they're like treasures, really. And I think that's probably why the people that still own them understand that, because they keep being rehashed and so forth. And like any band that's been, privileged enough to have a long life like Priest, 50 years now, some extraordinary things happen in your first 1, 2, 3 albums, especially the difference between Rock and Roll and Sad Wings of Destiny. It's just like this Grand Canyon effect, the way the band really grew exponentially in such a short space of time. And yeah, we would love to get them back. We never say never. We keep going back to them every so often and saying, look, what's it going to take? Because they're important to us. And I'd like to feel that one day we'll own those masters again.
Yeah. And of course, the book obviously talks a lot about being a gay man in a very hyper-masculine music scene, and, your reticence to come out. Although you've tried many, many times over the years to do that, including writing the song Raw Deal and talking about a fictitious romp through Fire Island. Now, for us people here on the East Coast, in the Northeast in America, we know what Fire Island is all about. But even that didn't register with any of the audience, and maybe not even your bandmates at the time.
Yeah, because it was just a song that we're in the studio with Roger Glover making Sin After Sin, and we're literally creating a lot of the music as we're together. And this story I'd heard about Fire Island was just, it was intriguing, because I've still never been there yet. I've got to get there. One day I'm going to go, I'm standing on the beach in Fire Island at last, thank God. But it was just this really cool story. And what I love about this song is the acceptance of the guys for what it was worth. Because even now, I write the lyrics, but everybody looks and says, yeah, or can we change this? Can we change that? Yeah. So they just, there were the words, and now this is pretty cool, and it's a strong lyric, and let's use it. There was no more thought to it than that, as it should always be. But my friends have been saying, was that like your coming out moment? Well, in all honesty, it wasn't. It really wasn't. That was just where I was that day at that time, writing those lyrics. But looking back, it's a pretty obvious statement. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a great song is a great song. So, yeah, I think just the fact that it was such a good song that it kind of escaped people, but Jawbreaker went to a little bit more in that territory.
Yeah, and I've been saying in recent days that really was a very, very much. I'm going to say it now, tongue in cheek, very much kind of. Uh, I was being interviewed by a journalist. I can't remember when this was, and I was getting a bit irritated. I was getting a little bit, the questions weren't going that well.
Yeah.
And he brought up that song, and I go, "Oh yeah, that's about me sucking a big cock." And he goes, "Oh, the Andy Warhol. Oh, really?" I go, "Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about a big fat juicy cock, man." And that's how it went into this realm. And the truth of the matter is that no, it's not. It's not about a large penis. Although I can see the Freudian parallel to it. It's about what it is about is again this incredibly intense, powerful music that we have called heavy metal, and it's about if you attack us, if you kind of kick us around like the proverbial football like we have forever in heavy metal, even now, not so much now, but when metal began, it's like a knee-jerk reaction to that. Deadly as the viper peering from its coil, and all the pressure that's building up. It's about metal, and it's about also the angst that you get in life, and just really utilizing all of those words. And a jawbreaker is like, really, it's about a punch in the mouth. That's what it is. It's a punch in the mouth. It's a very physical. It's a very physical statement about strength and about defining yourself and standing up for what you believe in.
Which we're missing these days, Rob, with social media, with everybody so negative and
Oh man,
and yelling at people on social media. When we were kids, Rob, if you said something about somebody, they came down to your house and knocked on your door, and you went out in the front yard and they gave you a punch in the mouth, and you never did it again. But that's a whole other topic. Sorry.
And you stayed friends.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. In today's world, man, it's just become so divisive and so hateful. It's just really painful to watch. I was looking at something beautiful the other day that somebody sent me of Ronnie backstage signing his stuff for fans, and it's just so powerful and emotional to see this guy that was in some of the biggest, strongest, powerful metal bands ever, and him being so sweet-natured and loving and caring and kind, and it's like you want to make everybody in the world watch Ronnie doing that beautiful, kind, friendly, human thing.
Yeah.
I wish we could get back to that place, but it's really tough right now. Not just here in America, but even in my home country.
Yeah.
And in other parts of the world. It's and this world of clickbait and being nasty and mean to each other. It's so negative. Nothing good comes from it. So we have to try and find a way to hopefully get through that and just keep having the rock and roll party rolling along without all of this dismissiveness.
Agreed. And one of my proudest moments of being a metalhead, and I say this on stage when I perform because I talk about all the bands that I love on stage. And I say one of the proudest moments for me as a metalhead was when Rob Halford came out of the closet as a gay man. And actually 99% of people just went, okay, good with us, no problem. And then the few people we might have lost along the way, well, I don't think we needed you. It was just, it just felt, it was just such a great loving thing that this metal community just embraced it immediately. And then it was over.
Yeah, we're special. We're very special. We've always been that way. And I'd kind of led myself into this place where I was confused, and I was afraid of the damage that it could have done. And in retrospect, looking back to those earlier times, particularly in the 70s when Priest was incrementally growing and getting a bigger response and getting more fans along the way, I think if I'd have made that statement then, who knows? There could have been a different whole set of reactions to it. But at the time, as it was like mid-90s on MTV, the world had grown a little bit.
Yeah.
We're still not at that level playing field in terms of equality, but it was a better place. And of course, I did it while I was away from Priest. So there's also, again, that slight, well, that was probably the best way to do it. I don't know. hindsight can be a beautiful thing. It can also be an absolute mess and a disaster. But the thing is, Don, as we know, because you're a hardcore metalhead like I am, heavy metal community is inclusive. It's unconditional.
Yes.
You know, everybody's treated the same. Doesn't matter how big your house is, the car you got, the money you make. It's immaterial. When we get together as metal maniacs to see any of our favorite metal bands, we're all at the same place, and that's how it should be. I wish it was that way in life.
Yeah, I agree. It's always gotten better, but we still have work to do as we always should. And as humans, we should always be looking at ourselves, improving ourselves. But that should just be a day-to-day thing. You had a couple close calls. You had a sort of a clumsy sort of almost intimate moment with Paul Di'Anno. You had your George Michael moment that you talk about in the book. But for whatever reason, those things kind of didn't come out in the press at the time. So I think when it happened was the right time. And I was shocked to learn that you hadn't thought it out. You just blurted it out in the middle of an interview.
Yeah. Those couple of things that you mentioned about Paul, who is one of the greatest metal singers ever, and George, who is one of the greatest musician singers ever in his own right. Those were just poor choices on my part, you know. And I think my being honest and open about some of the poor choices that I've made is just part of how I turned out. You know, sometimes you've got to hit a wall. Sometimes you've got to make poor choices and make some mistakes. It's what you do from those experiences that really matters, you know. And I think after you know the silly thing with Paul, and then with the George Michael moment, and any of the other encounters that were really somewhat poignant, because I was desperately lonely. People need physical intimacy. It's important, you know. We need to hug somebody, we need to love somebody, and I didn't have that, you know. Yeah. So not that I'm making excuses, but I'm you know, bringing it all into focus. There's a lot of understanding while some of those poor choices were made, but you learn and grow. And when I became clean and sober 36 years ago, that was my pivotal moment of learning, you know. And I don't think I've made a mistake since, although that's up for grabs. I'm sure somebody could say, that was a shit song from that Priest album that you just did. I don't know. You know, that's not poor choice, that's criticism. But I think in terms of life, living your life in a better way for yourself, and loving yourself and feeling good about yourself. Once all that's in place, you can send it out to the world, you know. It's the way it should be.
Yeah, and you've always radiated positivity, Rob, which is just so contagious. And I'm running out of time with you, so I'll just leave it at this. One of my favorite revelations in the book is at the end where you say, you know what, I want to be singing Painkiller at 80 years old. And
I'm nearly there, dude. I'm nearly there. 10 years is nothing in rock and roll. 10 years is nothing in rock and roll, is it, when you think about it?
Yeah.
It's nothing. Albums. I mean, Priest has been around for 50 years, man. It seems like 5 minutes, but we've been here for 50 years. I'm slowly creeping along. Well, not creeping, because my legs still work pretty well. I'll be 70 next year. Yeah. And 10 years is nothing in rock and roll, right? Because everything we do generally goes in around a 3-year plus cycle. It takes around 3 years to write a record, record a record, tour a record. So there's 3 years. So I've only got to go around the sun maybe 6 more times, and then, you know, I'll be on that stuff. You've got to be there, Don. You've got to be there. When I on my 80th birthday, when I'm screaming my saggy old man move tits off to Painkiller, whatever that might be.
I'll come backstage and we'll compare man boobs.
Yeah.
But, and you know that I'll be there. I was probably at the last tour. I think I saw 6 or 7 shows on that one. And man, you're singing better than ever. Priest is better than ever. God bless 50 years, and congrats on the book. I really enjoyed it so much. So thank you so much. And I'll hopefully see you down the road sometime soon, Rob.
Don, it's so great to see you again, man. I hope you're keeping safe. You look good. You sound great. Everybody that's been watching us, we love everybody that's been checking out our Zoom today. And please keep safe. Please do what you need to do as we get through this pandemic together. And 2021 is going to be colossal. All these bands are going to go out again, all these festivals, all these tours, and that's just around the corner. Yeah. So if we all kind of stay safe until that big 2021 kicks off, we'll see you all then. Yeah, stay strong, stay metal. Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
See you, Don.
See you later. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Don. Thank you for watching that clip. Here's some more I think you're going to enjoy. And of course, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.